Hello, beloved. Welcome back to my podcast and to another episode. This episode's about speaking your truth, and it's related some way to some of the previous episodes on the throat chakra and our divine power, divine truth. But I want to explore this a little further with you in this episode. So, the intention of this episode is to open you up to your authenticity and activate your empowerment in speaking more at your soul level. So, what does speaking your truth really mean? I mean, I hear it often said in a lot of the spiritual communities. What does it really mean? So, our powerful eternal soul has tremendous amount of wisdom. And as we tap into these new energies and higher frequencies, our soul wants to express itself even more. There are other aspects of us that want to share or even just say no to something that, no longer resonates or has no resonance that you no longer resonate with. Or, trying to maintain that healthy boundary to preserve your energy and not be so drained constantly. There are moments, though, of silence that is great and important too. So, but you don't want to suffer in silence either. Now is probably not the time for that with these new energies of this new earth. And especially though, if you're feeling that something is really off. So, for instance, like your healthy boundaries have been crossed. Sometimes you have to say what is going on. Even, sometimes the other person's not getting the message. So you do have to say it, speak it out directly to them when it comes to like healthy boundaries. And although though in the future we're going to be more telepathic, where our consciousness that is expanding so much, right, with these higher frequencies of energies, we're really tapping into more of our natural spiritual gifts and abilities. And one of those is telepathy. So I can see in the future where we're having a telepathic communication with one another. There is this understanding without having to always having to speak, directly to tell someone that, hey, back off from my boundary here, my little healthy boundary, I can't take any more tasks. I'm already booked up, for example. So yeah, so now, because of the way things are like in this massive chaos. You do have to speak up in a way, to say what is going on, to say no when it comes to healthy boundaries, right? And this was one of those things, like for me, like speaking up, growing up was a bit of a challenge, especially when I had to step up to do public speaking like I am right now, like on a podcast or going live on a video, going on a YouTube or recording certain videos to share messages like this. When I was first starting my blissness, my spiritual business, that was one of the things that my guides were imposing me or guiding me towards be more in the spotlight, be more like, in other words, on video. And that petrified me at the time because I had this tremendous amount of stage fright. And I knew that, speaking up like I am now in the forum would receive like a lot of criticism and that was the part that really, scared me. And part of that fear was actually coming from my past lives when I would speak my truth. And during those times, and the times that I remember the most are from the medieval times when it was truly like hell on heaven. I mean, hell, hell on earth. So, yeah, so hell on earth at that time. time frame, that time period. And, it's just speaking my truths is what I did in all these previous lifetimes. And that really caused my life. And that's how my life ended. So that's why, I was suffering a lot, or struggling a lot actually, with my throat chakra readjusting itself also this year. But really, when I was initiating my business, and getting more into like live videos and giving messages in this forum or in this format, it was quite a struggle for me of the fear. But the more that I started doing messages like this, the more that I started to really speak from my own soul and my heart, the more it just started to get easier for me. And so that's, where we are right now about speaking our truths and being able to step up on a spotlight in a video or with someone in your life, someone you're close to, your family, and being able to speak from your own heart and your soul, right? The authenticity of your own soul. And then, for example, in my marriage way before, I remember that I was really afraid to really say something to my husband at the time without him blowing up, because he would disagree with everything I would say that was mystical and spiritual, that was, metaphysical. And so I realized that I couldn't really say much in that marriage or speak my truth or speak, be myself, in other words, because it's really about speaking your truth, is being yourself. So then you end up in this like walking eggshells, out of fear in a relationship. So I'm just using that as an example. Okay. This is just an example. It's not that, um, of the things that, the energy, of things about, like, right now, the energy is about speaking up. And I don't think we can hold back anymore. I think there is this rebellious type energy also that is coming up to the surface because of the energies of the planets, that the way they have been moving around, and also influencing us and influencing the earth itself. Like, for instance, right now we're in Pluto retrograde. So it does feel like there is this rebellious energy also that wants to come up. And, like, all of that doesn't have to be in a romantic relationship, in a marriage, or any relationship where you feel that you can't be yourself. It could be like even at work, right? You're talking to somebody, your colleagues, and you're one of these, super like metaphysical, mystic, galactic type people that, you can't really openly speak to everybody about it because you're afraid that you'll be judged. And so that's, where it comes down to, like, really being your own self and being able to freely speak about all these things without being what is the word, banished, because there was a lot of this banishment, right, in society. And so I feel like collectively there is some of this energy still within us that is triggering, some of this memory, um, this traumatic memory of being banished from a tribe or society. If we spoke out of terms, if we spoke out of whatever that society norms was, or even like whatever the religious norm was, if we spoke out of terms, then we were immediately out, removed. So, but that's what I mean by suffering in silence, right? Keeping things like bottled up. And that, keeping things bottled up would just cause an explosion much later. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. People are exploding right now because I feel like some people were keeping things bottled up, in order to just conform to societal norms. So there is this like conflict of back and forth. Should I be myself? Or should I keep this quiet? And so, it's like the analogy of like shaking a soda bottle for so long and then opening it, and the thing would just explode all over the place when someone opens it. So, it's like before, like some people would just, by suffering in silence, it's like letting others just step all over, or just be like a doormat and just step all over. And so right now, the people are definitely, are saying no more. At least that's what I'm feeling from the energy collectively. And I feel this, within myself as well, that I feel like I've been speaking up a lot more of my truth than I would have in my previous years. I would say before the marriage, because like after the marriage, when I was really reconnecting myself and my heart and everything, just pretty much rebuilding and repairing myself and my own chakras. And when I stepped fully into my business that I have right now and speaking publicly, I, feel like I could really be myself now and share, these messages with you, share them with the intention that it would also activate healing, remembrance, and this reconnection within yourself too. There is a story that I was just made aware of. And this is a story that's called The King's New Clothes. Not sure if anybody's heard of this, but this was my first time hearing about it. And it was a very interesting story because it talks about this king. So the story has like a lot of meaning, a lot of messages and symbolism and meaning to it. But where I was really interested in focusing on was about speaking up your truth. So the essence or the main story behind all this is that the king is tricked or scammed by these tellers, who are making his clothes, and they're telling him that they make these very magical, special clothes that he puts on. And so if anybody else sees that, sees that they're invisible clothes or they're, whatever that, so he would appear naked, that means that these people will be foolish. And so the king, is walking around in public with these magical clothes, or at least he thinks he has these magical clothes on, right? They're very special. But the fact is that he's not wearing anything. Like he doesn't have any magical clothes. He just has like, he's just completely naked walking in public. And so everybody sees that he's naked, he's walking around, but nobody wants to say anything. And the reason why they don't want to say anything is because he is the king. So that means that he is higher authority, and nobody wants to question someone of power, someone of money. So, that's the part that we're at right now, that it doesn't matter who has power, who has money. Something is off, something is, not in alignment, or something is like pretty corrupt. That's where, people are speaking up. So out of that audience, there was just one person who did speak up, and that was the kid. So the kid, just, and you could take this, symbolism of the kid, because we all have a kid inside of us. Is that purity and that essence, right, of ourselves. But they also don't hold back on saying stuff either. So, but the kid spoke up, and he didn't care about, whatever consequences. But so that's the point, is us, at this point, being ourselves and being able to express ourselves and still preserve that kid within ourselves as well, that playfulness, right? And just knowing that we could be ourselves, and it shouldn't matter, that nobody has power over you. It doesn't matter what title they hold. or how much money they have. It's about expressing your soul in your heart. So it's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique. It's okay to be you. And these new energies support the truth now because of the increased amount of light codes, increase or higher frequencies that are really expanding us and our consciousness. So if others, disagree or don't resonate with you, then that's okay. If someone decides to unfriend you or leave a group that you're a part of, right, soul tribe, then let them go. That means that cycle was complete with them. And so that's pretty much where we're at right now with this. Pay attention to the BS, the fakeness. And there's been a lot lately coming out in the news about a lot of cults. And I'm pretty surprised that, the number of followers that it still has in these cults. And so it's in some way, there is still this fear of also speaking up about something that is really off. And so that's, where the kid comes in. It's looking at things that, are still a bit off and paying attention to your gut feeling, also your intuition, right? And not being tricked or fooled or scammed, in that way also. So that, would also lead to a level of discernment as well. And I want to talk more about discernment, but I'll leave that for another episode to explore more about that. But the point of all this is to be in a soul alignment and flow with the energies of the universe. You don't need to suffer in silence, especially when it comes to your healthy boundaries or telling someone or something you no longer want something or anything that, doesn't make you feel comfortable right now. Or just because your gut feeling is also telling you something else too. And when I say gut feeling, I'm really talking about your intuition, right? We say that, gut feeling, but it's really our intuition when we tap into within our own heart and what resonates, And I'm talking about the healthy, heart, not the wounded one. So there is a level of assertiveness with all of this, right? To where you're firm and assertive without being overly aggressive or violent with someone to get a point across. So it could be said in a nice, peaceful way to someone else, but still being firm and strong and assertive to stand in your own soul and heart truth. So I will leave you with that, and I will catch you in another episode. Bye for now.